Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. If you follow basketball, you know Chilltown Hoops.
So this is really good right here. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all the way around the world? Y'all know what time it is when you see me. It is Chilltown Hoops. I am in the house. We have pro basketball going on, and we are at the end of the season, guys, right? We are at the end of the season. This is the time of year when we crown a champion, right? That's what we do. We crown a champion at this point. And I know it's I know it's a little bittersweet, but it's still a great time. And the reason why it's a great time is off the strength that it's still a great time because it's off the strength that we get to crown a new champion. And there hasn't been more parity in the NBA than it is right now. There hasn't been. Even in the 70s, when the Knicks won it in the 69-70 season, and the Bucks won it in 71, and the Lakers won it in 72, and then the Knicks won it again in 73. And the Celtics win it in 74, and the Warriors win it in 75. And the Celtics win it again in 76. The Blazers win it in 77. Washington wins it in 78, and Seattle wins it in 79. You had the same team win it throughout the course of that decade. The Knicks was in the NBA championship 3 times in 4 years and won it twice. That happened. We've had a different NBA champion. This is going to be the 7th different champion. Now, I know that we are halfway through the decade, and you can say that we still got half the decade to see a dynasty because it happened with the Warriors, right? The Warriors showed up in the 14-15 season, then turned around and ran off 5 straight trips to the finals, right? 5 straight trips to the finals, winning 3 of them. One in 15, one in 17, one in 18. That did happen. However, we still had champions previous to that. Like the Miami Heat was in the NBA championship 4 straight years. We have not had that in this decade. We haven't. The Celtics been to the NBA Finals 1 time. The Heat was in the NBA Finals twice and never won it. So I think the fact that we have the parity that we have in the league, I think it's good for entertainment. The problem is the casual fan doesn't care. That's the downside. I keep hearing you guys say, I keep hearing you guys tell me all the time how important the underdog is. No, he ain't. No, he isn't. You don't care about him. You don't. Because if you did, you would be watching more. And I think that the NBA has done as good a job as it can in promoting these guys. I don't think that this is a situation where the NBA is not trying to push SGA to the front of the line. They're not trying to push Anthony Edwards to the front of the line or Jason Tatum. They just bet on the wrong guys early. They bet on Zion, and that didn't work. They bet on Ja. Turns out Ja want to be in the streets. So that's not going to work. Jason Tatum, he actually looks the part. And it kind of works, but then he gets hurt. But then they're really not sure about him either, right? They're really not sure about him. So I don't think we met the quote-unquote face of the NBA, but I think it's a great time for teams that are trying to win the NBA championship that are close. See, I'm one of these people that I think that when you build in something, I'm a firm believer in the idea that stick to the plan. Like, we clearly got something going on here. Like, this is something that's going to work. Clearly, we got something that's working here because the Houston Rockets 2 years ago, they were in the basement in the Western Conference. Here they are in the number 2 seed, and they're trying to get better. So with that being said, right, with that being said, they're on course. The Detroit Pistons last season, I thought that they were going to. I was looking at their schedule when they were on that losing streak, and they had lost 28 straight. I was looking at their schedule, and I was thinking, I don't think they're going to win a game for 2 months. I saw 40 straight losses. I did. Now, here they are. They make some minor moves in the offseason with bringing in Hardaway Jr. and Beasley and Paul Reed and Tobias Harris. And they're a playoff team. So I feel like the parity in the NBA, I feel like the parity in the NBA has become something that's way different today than what it's ever been. And you may have to strike when the iron is hot. Because if I'm being honest with you, I think we're going to see a different champion next year, too. I thought that the Boston Celtics were set up to win it. I mean, they had been to the Eastern Conference Finals last season. They had been to the Eastern Conference Finals. They were there in 18. They were there in 20. They were there in 22. They were there in 23. And then they were there in 24. That's 5 times in the last 7 years. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals and been to the NBA Finals twice. And their 2 stars are 27 and 28. So I'm thinking to myself, these guys are going to be around for a while. But then you have Jason Tatum tearing up his Achilles. That throws a monkey wrench in everything that we're trying to do. On top of that, we got this new CBA that's screwing up the money. And we can't really hold on to our guys for as long as we would like to. Because things get expensive when you're trying to build an NBA champion. And some, even the big markets, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Heat, the Knicks, even the big markets, they got to shed some fat. Yes, they do. Because things get expensive when you're trying to win it. Things get ridiculously expensive when you're trying to win it. So, with that being said, I don't personally think I'm going to see a repeat champion in this decade. I don't think so. I don't think we're going to have a repeat champion in this decade. I just don't think that the NBA is set up for that to happen this decade. Now, am I going to see a repeat champion again? I think so. I just don't think it's going to be this decade. But I can tell you right now, this Oklahoma City team is better than this Indiana team. And everything that this Indiana team does, Oklahoma City can counter it. Everything. And they counter it significantly. It's not a situation where Oklahoma City counters what Indiana does, but it's small things. No. They take away the things that you're great at. They don't take away small stuff like cutting through the lane. No. Or contesting a little bit more at the long ball line. I mean, Indiana's one of the best transition teams in the league. They shut the door on that. Shut the door on that. Not much of that is going on. It's just not. And then you get into the half court, and they're great at forcing live turnovers. But they're also great at forcing dead ball turnovers too, which also turn into points. And I feel like this Indiana team, I mean, I'm on record saying I don't think they win another game in this series. I thought the game that they were going to win was game 3. Instead, they ended up winning game 1. I look at the landscape of Oklahoma City. Indiana got 11 guys. And of the 11 guys that Indiana has, right, Oklahoma City counters that with 8 or 9 guys, but they counter that in a significant way. They point guys out in transition. That's how they slow down their transition game. They get on the glass. Jalen Williams gets on the glass. Not only does Jalen Williams get on the glass, but their small ball lineup, they gang rebound, which is something that I remember seeing with the Warriors. That's the team that I remember seeing that with back then. How their small ball lineup ended up being as good as they were with Dre and Clay and Steph and Iguodala and Lance and I'm sorry, Sean Livingston. I mean, they gang rebound. With that being said, this Oklahoma City team, they turn defense into offense so quickly. They got one of the best one-on-one players, best isolation players in the game. They have the ability to stretch the defense. They make you do something consistently. And if you can't do it, that's a you problem. Prime example would be, right? Prime example would be Obi Toppin knocks down 5 threes in game 1. And Oklahoma City makes a minor adjustment where they crowd him a little bit more at the long ball line. He keeps shooting, though. He keeps shooting. They crowd him at the long ball line, and they tell him, keep making those. I need you to make those now with a hand in your face. Not necessarily you getting bodied up, but because I don't want to get beat off the dribble, but I need to see you make that with a hand in your face now. He went 1 for 8 yesterday from the floor. He went 1 for 5 at the long ball line. That's the plan. That is absolutely the plan. And then you counter that with Wiggins, who's been steady all season long, and then Alex Caruso, who comes off the bench. Whenever you get almost 40 from 2 rotation guys, you sitting pretty. You are sitting pretty. Now, I can say that SGA, for all intents and purposes, I read a post, an ESPN stat, which these ESPN stats are just amazing to me. And the reason why I think that they're amazing is because I think it's funny how, like, it's one thing. Like, SGA joins Rick Barry and Dwayne Wade and LeBron James to score 30 plus and have 3 steals in 2 NBA Finals games. I mean, then I think that, okay, Bird, he had 30 and 3 steals. He had 29 and 2 steals. Then he had 34 and 2 steals. Like, give me a break, right? Come on, man. Give me a break. I get it that, you know, we so want to put these guys in, right? We so want to put these guys in the same space with the all-time greats. Meanwhile, the all-time greats have sustained greatness. SGA has enhanced the legend. What I mean when I say that is, the legend was built in the regular season. Like you guys may be blown away by what you're seeing with SGA. I marvel at the fact that he's able to take his game from the regular season and translate it over to the playoffs. Because I always thought that at minimum, you should be able to do whatever you was doing in the regular season, you should be able to do that in the playoffs, at minimum. Now, of course, when the playoffs get here, you have to raise your game and you got to be better. I'm not going to argue that point whatsoever. But at minimum, whatever I was doing in the regular season, at minimum, I should be able to do that in the playoffs. And what I saw from SGA, and I got some pushback from this because I think he went for 33 or 34 yesterday. And to be quite honest with you, I wasn't overly impressed. And the reason why I wasn't overly impressed because I saw him do that on a Tuesday in the regular season in December. I saw him do that on a Wednesday in January in the regular season. Like this was an ongoing thing with him to go for 34 or 32 or 38. Like this wasn't out of the ordinary. So the fact that he could take his game from the regular season, what he's doing now, from what he was doing in the regular season to what he's doing now, the fact that he can do that, okay, I expect that from you. I do. Now, what I don't want to sound like is I don't want to sound like SGA isn't fantastic. I mean, he averaging 30 a game in the finals. He was averaging 32 a game in the regular season, right? He's averaging 33 a game in the finals. Okay, great. You were able to take your game, right? You were able to take your game from the regular season, bring it to the NBA championship. I love that because the legend of you gets made in the regular season. It gets enhanced come playoff time. And I feel like what he's done off the ball as a defender, that's the kind of stuff that I really dig from him. Like the buckets, I'm watching Mathurin try to I'm watching Mathurin covering him. And to be quite honest with you guys, Mathurin is playing good defense. It's not like Mathurin isn't playing good defense. He's playing damn good defense. It's just SGA's got better offense. That's what it is ultimately. SGA just has better offense than Mathurin's good defense. He's closing out with the right hand. He is beating SGA to spots. He's closing SGA's space as soon as SGA tries to shoot. He's closing that space. SGA just better. Or in the words of Samuel L. Jackson, my thing is better than your thing. And that's really what it is. And again, I don't like to oversimplify things because when you oversimplify things, it sounds condescending. But with SGA, it is really that elementary. My thing is better than your thing. The space that he creates when he gets when he gets away from Mathurin, how quick he can get his shot off, how good he is in transition. I love that about him. I love all of that stuff about him. I think that this Oklahoma City team, I just think it's their turn. I do. I think it's their turn. I think they're the team to beat this postseason, and I think that they're going to win the NBA championship. I don't think that Indiana's going to win another game in this series. I think that they're going to be competitive. I'm not going to argue that point, but I don't think that Indiana can sustain not being able to run and relying a lot on their half-court offense against this team. Because like I told you before, Oklahoma City does a great job. They don't do a good job. They do a great job in countering what you do. So when we get Indiana in the half court and Tyrese Halliburton is starting, he stepped on the half court line and got a backcourt violation. That's where they start their offense. Oklahoma City is pushing them 28, 32, 35 feet away from the basket to start your offense. Tyrese Halliburton can't get around Lou Dort. He can't get around Caruso. He can't get around Cason Wallace. And if he does, consistently, there's guys right behind them. Right behind them. Excuse me. That can slow that down. And then you got rim protectors like Shai. Then you got rim protectors like Chet. You got a rebounder like Hartenstein. You got glass cleaners like that. So because you got that, you make life so much more difficult. I'm watching Tyrese Halliburton try to probe the defense, and he's got to take the first available thing because there is nothing in between. Unfortunately, there is nothing in between. There is no. It's like a quarterback where soon as I come up from center, I got to hit the hot read, and the reason why I got to hit the hot read because I don't have time to go through my progressions. I don't have time. Nope, he's not open. Nope, he's not open. Okay, he's open. I don't have time to do that because 1, the shot clock is running. 2, none of those guys are open. 3, we're getting pushed further away from the basket. So now we're getting rushed. I don't have time to go through my progressions and see what other options are open. I got to take the first thing available. And that's the plan that I had for Oklahoma City. When it came to Indiana, my plan was I want the ball out of Tyrese Halliburton's hands. I want to get the ball in Obi Toppin's hands. I want to put the ball in Mathurin's hands. I want to put the ball in Nesmith's hands. I want to put the ball in Pascal Siakam's hands. I want to put the ball in Shepard and Nembhard's hands. I want those guys making plays because I feel like I can speed them up and cause turnovers. I can't have Tyrese Halliburton at the helm with vision and being able to see everything and survey the whole floor because he wants to get off the peel. Like Tyrese Halliburton isn't one of those players that where he's looking to score first and he's dominating the basketball. No. Tyrese Halliburton wants to get you involved, and he wants to get you involved early and often. Well, we got to get the ball out of his hands, and we got to make those other guys make plays. And if we can do that, we sitting pretty. And yesterday, I mean, they forced 10 less turnovers than they did in game 1. The difference is the quality of turnovers. There were more live ball turnovers. They were able to speed the game up with their transition offense because of the turnovers. The Indiana Pacers couldn't do that. Whenever they tried to run, Oklahoma City did such a great job. The pickup point was a lot higher. Like when the ball went through the net, Cason Wallace was right there. When the ball went through the net, Alex Caruso was right there. When the ball came off the glass, we're finding our guys in transition right now. Like we're not waiting for these guys to cross half court. We're finding by the time we get to half court, I got my guy. Once Oklahoma City was able to do that and slow down Indiana's transition game, now we find Indiana having to play half court offense. And there isn't a team in the playoffs that includes the Celtics. There isn't a team in the playoffs that I think was more connected than Oklahoma City. These guys were literally on a string. And if one guy got beat, it was almost like he got beat and he was baiting the guy into somebody else. Tyrese Halliburton is a prime example where he ended up getting around SGA, and it was almost like SGA allowed him to get around him. So Cason Wallace or Lou Dort could be right there, and he ripped the ball away from him. And with that, I feel like I feel like when you are that connected defensively, it's pretty incredible, right? It's pretty incredible to watch a defense like that come together, right? I feel like when you are that in tune and when you're on the same page that much, right? When you're on the same page that much, that's basketball, and it's always been basketball for me. Always, I love every bit about it. Now, I was asked the question, but before I do that, I got a troll in my chat, guys, and this troll says to me, "Chill, it's time for you to admit SGA clears Wade and MJ. You got it, Mel. SGA clears and he clears Wade and MJ. You got it, brother." But the question that I was asked, right, was who benefits more? What's up, Jake? How you doing, brother? Who benefits more from a championship? Is it SGA? Is it SGA? Or is it Tyrese Halliburton? I feel like SGA is already at the top of the mountain. Like he's a bona fide top 5 player. And I don't think that can be disputed. I think that I think he's already at the top of the list. I mean, I wouldn't go any lower than 4 with SGA. But if they were to win the NBA championship with him winning the league, winning the scoring title, winning the league MVP, winning the Western Conference Finals MVP, winning the NBA championship, and then winning the Finals MVP, like I think that he's already in that space. So it would give him a boost as opposed to Tyrese Halliburton, who I'm comfortable having a conversation about Tyrese Halliburton. I'm comfortable with I'm comfortable having a conversation with Tyrese Halliburton at being a bona fide top 20 player. I don't think there's 20 guys in the game better than him. I don't. I don't think that there's 20 guys in the game better than him. I don't think there's 5 league guards in the game better than him right now. But to win the NBA championship with this group, with him at the helm, I think I can comfortably have. I don't think he turns into a top 10 player, but I'm very comfortable having a top 15 conversation about him. Very comfortable with that. Off the strength of what he's done previous. He's been an all-star. He's been an all-pro. Previous to what he's done now. He's been an all-star. He's been an all-pro. Moving up the list, he jumped some guys. If they were, and I think this benefits him wildly. He might even get put into some conversations that he probably shouldn't be in. Yeah, I think that he gets put into some conversations that he probably shouldn't be. And there are some people who would say that, Tyrese Halliburton's a top 10 player. And I'm not going to go that far. But the fact that, the fact that they would talk about him like that, right? The fact that they would talk about him like that means a lot. Like this right here, this is some of the most ridiculous that bugs me out. That blows my mind. Like, I don't think Tyrese Halliburton and LaMelo Ball are in the same category as league guards. I think it's this between these two dudes. I don't think it's close between Tyrese Halliburton and LaMelo Ball. I don't think it's a question of who's better. I don't think it's even close. And I think LaMelo Ball is a good point guard. But between him and Tyrese Halliburton, I think this is where the gap is. I don't think it's close. So I won't even have that conversation about LaMelo Ball and Tyrese Halliburton. No, I won't even have that conversation. Hell no. Because those two guys ain't close. But why would this impact Tyrese Halliburton more? Because we live in a copycat league. So if you think about the big man with Joker, when they won the NBA championship, not only with Joker when they won the NBA championship, when Giannis won the NBA championship, how are we talking about Giannis? How are we talking about Anthony Davis when they won the NBA championship? I was listening to Anthony Davis, Karl Malone conversations. I was about ready to crash my car into a telephone pole listening to that shit. I was like, are you crazy? But that's what I was listening to, right? That's what I had to listen to. However, for SGA, I think that this puts him in kind of like what was going on with Dwayne Wade in 2006 with the persona, the look. Like I think that would be the next step for him. However, I think for Tyrese Halliburton, I think the game would move more toward the facilitator and the distributor who can score. Kind of like what's going on with Anthony Davis. Like Anthony Davis, I think, is a defender who can score. And I feel like that's what the game was moving toward. Like he was a 26 a game guy. He was a 25 a game guy, but he also was an elite defender. Tyrese Halliburton is a 18 to 20 a game guy, and he's an elite distributor. Now, we all know that in today's game, that the lead guard has to score. We all know that. With that being said, how much does the lead guard have to score in today's game? Because I can tell you right now, I'm not one of these people that if you averaging 30, you getting buckets. Because, I mean, LaMelo Ball was averaging a bunch of points, and that shit was empty. It was empty. It really didn't amount to much, and I'm good on that. But I do know for a fact, right? I do know for a fact that in today's game, you cannot just be relegated to being a distributor. Not in today's game, you can't. You have to be able to score, and you got to be able to score consistently at the lead guard spot. You have to be able to score consistently. You don't got to average 30. You don't have to average 25, but you have to be able to score consistently. So between 19 to 22, that's got to be on a Tuesday. If we're talking about winning it, especially when we're going deep into the playoffs. What up, BD? Especially if we're going deep into the playoffs. If we're talking about winning it, right? So a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, right? A guy like Tyrese Halliburton, I think, would be the archetype. Like if they were to win it, teams would go, all right, we got to start playing like this. We got to change our offense. We need more of that. As opposed to this one-on-one ISO ball. No, we have to start playing like that right there. And I think Tyrese Halliburton would enhance that. Kojak, what up, brother? I think Tyrese Halliburton would enhance that. So I think that we're in a space now where I think both of these guys benefit, but I think Tyrese Halliburton, I think he would bring some. I think he would bring a different shine. I think he would bring a different shine to the lead guard, right? I don't think that I don't think that he would have. I don't think that he would have the same effect that just a guy winning a championship would have. No, I think it would be completely different, and I I think it would benefit him if they ended up winning. Plus, like you're talking about being marketable, you're talking about being the face of the league, you're talking about being a bigger deal. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton, he's got a super dope game, one of the best distributors in the game, good looking dude, plays in a basketball city. They would love him. Madison Avenue would love him. Got a great smile, like I said. All of this stuff matters, right? All of this stuff matters when when you're talking about moving forward with somebody as the face, whether it's the NBA, whether it's the NBA, whether it's the NFL, particularly in the NBA, though, when you want to market somebody, your game, where you play, how you look, what kind of image you have, all of that stuff matters. And I feel like a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, SGA is on, it's some whole other shit with SGA off the strength that SGA's got a style of his own, another good looking dude, great for the camera, got a great game. He's one of those guys that if SGA were to win the NBA championship, he'd be a marketing dream. I'm not on that foreigner thing. The fact that he's from Canada, and Giannis was from Greece. I mean, I'm not on that. I don't, to be honest with you, I really don't appreciate it, if I'm being honest with you, off the strength that, I mean, if Giannis was from Chicago, he'd be the face of the NBA. And I think that's nonsense. I do. I think that's straight whack. Because, I mean, if you're a baller, you're a baller. Olajuwon is from Africa. So why was it an issue? I don't think it was. I don't think it was an issue at all. So again, I feel like what these NBA finals have shown me is that the basketball fan, what these NBA finals have shown me is that the basketball fan, the true basketball fan, is getting great basketball. You casuals, you're really missing out. I promise you that. You casuals that don't know much about SGA, that don't know much about Tyrese Halliburton or Alex Caruso or Pascal Siakam, you're really missing out. And this kind of basketball is the basketball that you would love to watch. You would love to watch this kind of basketball because these guys, this kind of basketball in particular is exactly what basketball is, how connected Oklahoma City is, how great of a lead guard Tyrese Halliburton is. If you want to learn how to play the lead guard, that guy right there, pay attention to him. He's absolutely somebody that you want to pay attention to. So I feel like this NBA this season, I still feel like it's the best season that I've ever seen. I feel like these playoffs are for the ages. And I think that with Oklahoma City winning the NBA championship, I just think it's great for Oklahoma City, man. I do. I think it's great for them to win it. I don't think that it would be good for them. I think it would be great for them to win it. And we'll find out. So, but I want to hear from you guys, right? I want to hear from you. How many more games does this thing go? What does this mean for SGA? What does this mean for Tyrese Halliburton? Can Indiana win this thing? Will they win it? I want to hear from you guys. What up?
OG. Wagwan.
What up?
OG. Giannis is on the way to Toronto. East is wide open. The Raptors are back.
Well, I don't really watch, as you say, I don't really watch basketball because I'm on here. So I don't really watch a lot of basketball, so.
Oh, you do. I love your work, man. I love your work, OG. Come on.
Unfortunately, I don't watch a lot of Toronto games because, like you said, it's the playoffs and I'm on here, so I'm not really watching basketball, so I wouldn't really know about Giannis being in Toronto. I wish I could tell you, but
No, but you're a great analyst, OG. You're
So,
like genuinely, I love your work, man. Keep doing what you do. Thank
all
you.
right, brother. Absolutely, I will. Thank you. What up,
What up, Chill? You hear me?
my man? What's going on, brother?
What's up? What's up? What's up, Chill?
What's up, brother?
I agree with you. I think a lot of people are missing out on these NBA finals. I do think, I personally think it's the best representation of the new NBA you could get, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Tyrese Halliburton. I honestly don't know who I like more. I'm struggling. Like I want somebody to win, but at the same time, because I struggle between OKC from the standpoint of the history's sake, the Supersonic situation and the 2012 finals and how they never really got back.
Yeah.
I personally think one of these two teams will be back in the finals again in this decade, more so than like a Denver or like the Bucks. I honestly think that Jokic Giannis era. I think now what's happened, there's so much parity in the league.
Sure.
Is that I don't see a person after like 30, 32 getting back to that could be wrong, getting back to the finals again in this era. I think it's going to be a lot of different teams, but these guys are young enough and good enough and have teams that aren't like historically great on paper with the talent they have, but I think they have good enough kind of like players and talent around them to maintain themselves for a long time. Like Miles Turner, like people forget about Miles Turner. I want to just mention this, but Miles Turner has been on the trading block for at least 7 years. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Like they tried to trade him.
I actually heard him, Amari. I actually heard them talking about him when he first got to Indiana. Remember when Gordon Hayward was in Boston?
Yeah.
They were talking about him getting moved for Oladipo and Miles Turner for Gordon Hayward. That was a conversation. That was in 2018.
This is crazy, and now he's in the NBA finals. So I think Indiana's done a great job of building. I think another coach that's kind of, and I'm glad to see some of these coaches as well kind of get their reputation back. Like Rick Carlisle was saying to you, I think when you move away from a very high, very ball dominant isolation, I don't know, guard forward, in Luka with the game, where you struggle to kind of build a defensive rotation around him. I think now Rick Carter is really showing his coaching acumen, and I think now you can see it in the way they're playing in the finals. I mean, Indiana is a hard team to beat. Like even in that game yesterday, I mean, I think they lost by 20, 15 or something like that, but they were really coming back and they were fighting. And I was thinking about it in the back of my head in this series. I think OKC will win out this series, and I think more games are going to be like game 1 than game 2. And I think if they are like that, then OKC is going to have a problem. It's going to go to 7. I think that is how I feel about this series. But I think in terms of the NBA and the casual fan, I think what we're learning is that one of the issues that NBA has, in my opinion, is that it's a nostalgia league. And they are too kind of hampered by the past. They can't get away from it. Every conversation we have is comparing this era to this era, this person.
It makes me nuts, Amari. Like I just read a ESPN stat. SGA is the first player since Rick Barry, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron James that have 30 points and 3 steals. And I'm like, in '84, Bird went 29. He went 30 and 3 steals. He went 29 and 2 steals. He went 34 and 3 steals. I'm like, give me a break, man.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we just enjoy what SGA is doing? Why does this have to be he's the first player since these guys to do this? Or his first NBA finals? I mean, give me a break.
It's so strange to me, especially like being in like Europe. You don't really see, when we watch, like even when I watch American football coverage and I can compare it to like football here, or like soccer as you would call it, like they don't cover the game in basketball the same way. Like they cover it at NFL. I really do appreciate, for a person that doesn't really watch football, I only watch like the playoffs really, and how they cover the NFL in like it's a deep breakdown of like the plays and analyze everything with how everything is going on the field. With basketball, it's almost like it's a recreational coverage. So when they kind of just bring out these arbitrary stats, for people to kind of get along with what's going on in the game, it's like, I don't really care, to be honest with you, around about what, not to be disrespectful, I don't really care what Rick Barry did in 1972. I care about what's happening tonight, saying to you, like, can you break the game down? What plays is Shai doing? And I feel like this the reason why the ratings are so low, because they don't know how to market these guys. and
Right.
they're getting failed by the NBA to be marketed, you know, in that sense. I think the casual fan is watching, you know how many people are watching these games. I think if you were watching OKC and Indiana all season, you're definitely impressed with how they're playing tonight for the last couple of games. But I feel like NBA is way too driven by the pass. If you really want to market, take Tyrese. Anthony Edwards probably got a little bit of personal issues off the court, but he's got a great game.
Yep.
You had all of these guys in the conference finals. You had Anthony Edwards in the conference finals. You had Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson. You had SGA all in the conference finals. To me, those are your four guys probably of the future in that sense. They're all under what? They're all under 25? No, all under 28.
That's what I was about to ask you too, Amari, because you seem pretty adamant about like these two teams. Like you think that they're getting back. Why these two teams in particular? Like on what in the next 5 years, from 25 to 30, what makes you think that these two teams you're going to see them back in the finals at some point?
Couple of reasons. I think OKC is the roster, and also the fact that they will win a championship very, very young. I think if they was to win a championship, they'll be the youngest team to ever win an NBA championship, if I'm correct.
Since,
I think
since the Blazers in '77, that's correct.
Yeah, so I think that if they do win it, I think that they have enough time before the contract situation starts to really kick them in the ass, basically, when they start having to pay all of these players on the team. So I think they have enough time before a lot of these guys come off their first 5-year extension, where they have to sign that 2-year extension they'll get off for 7 years.
Yep.
They have enough time to get back there, as long as everybody can stay healthy. I think what you're really seeing at these long playoff runs are starting to kill some of these players, like Jason Tatum, who have been in the finals for a very long time. So if they can get
7 years, he's been in the East.
5 times 7 years. Remember, OKC has been to the conference finals 2 times in the last 3 years, and they're now in the NBA finals. So I think that OKC have enough.
Well, they were in the semifinals last year. They weren't. They weren't in the semifinals last year. They weren't in the West Finals, but they were in the semifinals.
Oh yeah, not in the West Finals. Sorry, my bad. But
no
now OKC, to me, has the opportunity where they have a young enough players with experience to get back to the finals. Because the last team that was young that had experience to get back to the final was coincidentally the Celtics. So they will. I think OKC will get back there. I think what's killed the Celtics is the fact that they've not just had deep runs; they've had long, deep runs. That they've had game 7s in conference finals, coming back from 0-3 down against the Miami Heat. Those are on your legs. I wouldn't be surprised if Jaylen Brown was to break down next season, because he's been doing this longer than Tatum.
Well, he's got a meniscus injury where he's going to have to get that dealt with over the summer, and it's going to take him some time to get back before he's ready before the season starts. But I remember it's interesting you mentioned that, Amar, because I remember Joe Dumars talking about that when he was with the Pistons, where 87, 88, 89, 90, 91. Like every year we playing till late May, early June. And after a while, it starts to wear on you that you're going that deep in the playoffs every year.
And it's crazy because, again, all of these teams outside of OKC, if you look at it, Minnesota has been to the conference finals back-to-back years. New York, did they go to the conference finals last year? Was it semifinals they lost in last year?
Who was that? Oklahoma City?
New York. Did New York go to the conference finals?
They lost to Indiana in the semifinals.
In the semifinals. So these teams have been going fairly deep into the playoffs. With Indiana, I just trust their coaching and the way that they've built this team. And I really like a lot of the players on this team in Indiana. So I think they'll be back, because to me, they've had sustainable builds. They haven't done anything to me that would indicate a team that's panicking. The only thing that I would say about Indiana that I would be concerned of as an NBA fan and watching it, I don't want to judge this team by the results of the NBA finals. And the reason why I say that is because I don't think that this team is going to win a championship, even if they get back to the finals. So, but I hope Indiana doesn't overreact to how they respond in the finals, thinking that they are closer than they actually are, kind of like the Atlanta Hawks.
And they do something drastic and screw the team
exactly up. Like Atlanta did when they went to the conference finals. Atlanta thought they were closer than what they was.
They were.
So I think that Indiana just need to just stay the course with this team, not make anything drastic, and trust Tyrese Halliburton to get them back there. And I also think another team that will be in the fold again is New York. New York, you fired Tom Thibodeau. You finally got rid of the man who doesn't care about people's bodies. And I think that in terms of those type of teams, I think the teams that have done the sustainable builds, I think that is the future of the NBA, because we know how this kind of second apron is killing these teams with players.
So I was just about to say that to you, Amari. So two things. Number one, Turner comes off the books after this year, and Indiana's looking to sign him back. That's going to put them in the second apron. Now, the second apron is a death sentence. The plus side to the second apron for Indiana is they're a first-time offender. So this isn't one of those situations where they find themselves where they got to pay $5 on the dollar in taxes, right?
Yeah.
You still end up losing the mid-level exception guy. You still end up losing the buyout market, right? You still end up losing that stuff. You still will pay a high tax bill. But because you're not a repeat offender, I mean, you might be able to sustain it for a season, but I don't think that it's something that's sustainable for a long time for a market like Indiana. That's number one.
It might not be.
That's number one. Number two, I'm thinking to myself, you're in a space now because of the parity that we have, that these teams that are close, like, for example, you just mentioned like a team like Atlanta thinking that they're closer than they really are. We're in a space where we've seen these different champions throughout the course of the course of this era, where a team might make one move and they right back in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But I'm also a fan of the idea of what Houston is doing, where they got these guys on rook deals and they're building something. And it feels like it can be sustainable for a long time. I just worry about these teams that, like Houston, where they want to strike where the iron is hot and end up making a move that cripples them, like trading for KD or some shit like that. So, unfortunately. Anyway, Mario, it was good to talk to you, brother. You know,
No problem, sir.
I know where to find you. Good to talk to
Yeah,
you, brother.
take it easy.
Yep. What up? What up?
Hello, Joe. How you doing?
What up?
Good to see you.
You.
Good to talk to you today. Basically, I wanted to talk about just kind of the schematics of the finals and what I've been seeing. I think the first half of the first game really showed me exactly how this finals was going to go, particularly for the Pacers offense. I thought
the first half of game one.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then the reason why I say that is because like the Pacers did a really good job at the end of that game, like sticking to their game plan. And, their game plan is basically a lot of pick and roll, a lot of face up stuff, a lot of, pass to that guy that's on that fade, stuff like that consistently. But OKC is very, very good at that, at compounding that. That's one of the best things that they are at as a defense. My bad.
Okay.
Just recovering and moving on that side. So I think the biggest thing with the Pacers is like Nembhard and Mathurin and Halliburton. They need to be aggressive off the pick and roll, because if you try to go inside, what's going to happen with that. You're going to get stuffed. And if you try to pass out, these guys are so good at recovering that you're not going to get the shots that you want on a consistent basis. And I think Nembhard and Mathurin have done a decent job of being aggressive off the pick and roll, but I feel like they have to just continue to try to do that. And then Halliburton, I think you brought up some good points. Like as a facilitator, he's elite. But this OKC team is so good at recovering. They're so good at getting to Siakam in the paint that you have to be able to be aggressive in some sort of way. And I think one thing that you'll attest to is not as a player specifically in how they play, but I look at Halliburton kind of like a Reggie Miller in the sense of he's not a guy that is a top 5, top 10 offensive player at his peak, but he can give you those moments in the playoffs because he can make clutch shots and he can hit shots that you don't even think of most players like could hit shots like that. You know what I mean? I've seen Halliburton like in the Knicks series, stuff like that. So I feel like Halliburton gets to tap into that a little bit, but I also feel like too, Carlisle, this system. I mean, this is stuff that they've been doing for years now. You look at a guy like Nembhard. The reason why he's so good now at shooting is because they've given him 30 minutes a game the last 2-3 years. And now all those shots, he's been taking those shots for 3 years now. Mm-hmm. So like they have to continue to stay with the game plan, but Halliburton has to be a little bit more aggressive. Nembhard has to continue to be aggressive. Nembhard has been really good. I like what I'm seeing from him in this series.
I just think that they play so much better off of Halliburton as opposed to when Halliburton gives them the ball and now they have to go. And what it reminds me a lot of with Halliburton, and I don't know if you heard me say this, but what it reminds me of a quarterback coming out of center and he's got to hit the hot read. Like he doesn't have time to go through his progressions. Okay, this guy's not open. This guy's not open, but this guy. I feel like their offense is starting a lot higher. Tyrese Halliburton, when he comes off that screen, like you talked about, well, they have guards that jump him and they push him further away from the basket. So he's got to go to the first read. He doesn't have an opportunity to see Siakam. And if Siakam's not open, he doesn't have an opportunity to see anybody on the cross court off the strength that this thing is happening so fast and Oklahoma City is swerving so quickly, and these guys are on a string and they shoot gaps where if something was open a half a second ago, it's closed now. So when you're coming off screens, you already have to have your mind made up of what's going on. If I'm coming off this screen, if they're switching, I'm splitting it. If I'm coming off this screen and it's two guards, I want to get two guards where I think I can take Isaiah Joe. I can take Wiggins. I'm not looking for action where I got Caruso or Cason Wallace.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for that kind of action. So I feel like this Indiana team, they got to figure out how to speed the game up, though, because that's their bread and butter.
Because I was going to say, Siakam. Also, that was my other thing. They have to find a way for him to push the pace, because I feel like with Chet in the half court, he's so much better as a rim protector than and he's still good, don't get me wrong, but I feel like where he struggles, if you can get him to run and then go at him, it's kind of like the same way I kind of look at Luka, in the sense of Luka isn't horrible when you make that first move, but if you can get a second, get a counter, and then continue to run at him, he gives up. And Chet is way better as a defender, but I feel like because of his size and like his skinniness, that's the way that you attack. But I feel like Siakam can do that, but he has to be aggressive with it. And then with him, he's got to take some of those threes. Like, I feel like that's going to open the game up. And if he's continuing to hit them, then you got to try him. But I think they do have to stick to the game plan, though, because in a defense like this,
what else is there, Mike?
To stick with what works.
What else do we have, though? It's not like we got a plan B and a plan. This is what we've been doing all year long.
Yeah, exactly.
We're a fast-paced team who, when we play in the half court, Tyrese Halliburton, he runs our offense. He's the one who gets Obi Toppin and Siakam and all of these guys involved. We play through him and we play off of him, right? And he's not a big-time scorer. I mean, this is who we are. You stop that. What I equated to Jabal. Jabal had one move. Stop this and you stop me. He played 20 years. This is who Indiana is. We play fast. Our half-court offense involves a lot of ball movement, some go-getters. The reason why I feel like this Oklahoma City team is going to win this thing is because they counter everything that Indiana does at a high level. I think that's
it's just too much. And the last thing I wanted to say, strictly off of like SGA and just their offense, I look at their offenses, SGA and Mark Diagonal. And it's not just that. You've obviously got other guys. You've got J-Dub, you've got Chet, but the way that they're able to run sets for those guys. And J-Dub's really the only other guy that you can like give the ball like not a majority, but a good amount to, and like he can get a little bit of a shot, but he is a little bit inconsistent. But I still like how he's playing because his defense is still really good. You have a guy like that who's a little bit volatile as an offensive player, but he's so good defensively. I mean, like, that's a perfect fit with Shai for the future. But I feel like a lot of people, just aren't giving Shai enough credit. I feel like as a facilitator, I'm not saying specifically you, but I just feel like we've seen this guy.
I don't, to be honest with you, Michael. I don't give him enough credit as a passer. I don't. I really don't.
And it's not like Luka level, but what I will say is you look at last year and the year before, and you see a guy who can get a bucket. We know he can get a bucket. We've been on that for a while now. But now it's like he's making the decisions, I would say 85 to 90% correctly. And when you do that, now you open up this offense to the way it truly should be, because as good as some of these guys are as rotation players, there's not another guy that is even close to what Shai can give you with the ball in his hands. And I feel like a lot of lead guards would crumble in this offense. Like I really do. And I feel like defensively, the impact that and the help that they provide Shai is unmatched, I would say, compared to a lot of teams of all time. But I do think offensively, what he does, having the ball in his hands as much as he does and not making mistakes and continuing to shoot well, it's like, I mean, it's
pretty
up there.
Impressive. Yes, it definitely is. But Michael, I got to go, brother. But it's good to talk to you, my man. Appreciate it.
Good to talk to you.
Yep. What up?
My bad. Oh, damn. I had my thing was on the train.
What up?
What's going on? I'm continuing my farewell tour from Brooklyn. I ain't tell you, I'm moving this month. This next month I'm gonna be out of Brooklyn. I'm gonna be Texas resident of Texas, bro.
You moving to
Yeah,
Texas?
yeah, I'm moving to Texas. Yeah.
All
So
right.
the move is official.
All
Eventually I'm gonna move in with my lady friend and her daughter. And
What part of Texas you going to, Lee?
Snyder,
Okay.
Texas. Yeah, that's it's closest to Lubbock. So if you can find Texas Tech University, you can
Yeah.
find me.
Okay.
So yeah,
They got some
just
good hoops
a
over there
point.
too. Good hoops.
Yeah,
over there.
yeah, they do. It's more of a football town, but they definitely got
Mhm.
some more good hood. But to speak on not to well to speak on the series, I guess a little bit. I said this shit was open 5. I said it's only a matter of time before the real Oklahoma City Thunder team shows who they are to Indiana. As you said before, we both on the same page in terms of them being able to counter-react anything Indiana is throwing at them, bro. Like, I mean, in terms of transition and in terms of they basic pick and roll, they basic action that they run. And OKC has everything to counter-react what they're doing.
Leaf, if you're a boxer, how do you, if your jab is a huge part of your offense and you popping me with that jab and it ain't doing nothing, I'm just countering that. Like, how can you keep rolling?
I don't know. Go ask Tommy Hearns. How did he keep rolling against Marvin Hagler, bro? When Marvin Hagler took his very best,
He kept popping Marvin with that. He kept popping Marvin with that.
Right here,
and
right here,
kept coming.
I'm pretty sure you remember that fight because that's my father's favorite boxer, Marvin Hagler. He opened him up right here.
He kept coming. He kept coming at him.
If that's today, that fight is over.
Yeah, they stopped it.
Back in the 80s,
no,
he opened him up right here. Marvin Hagler said,
"I'm good. I'm all right.
I'm good. I'm all right." He let him break his hand and said, "You're done, man. You're done, my man. You're done. That's it. That's it." And that's what I'm looking at this series as. This is basically Tommy Hearns versus Marvin Hagler. Anything that Indiana is going to throw or think they're going to throw at them in this series,
we got it.
It's not going to work.
We got it, yo.
It's going to get counter-reacted. Now, a topic that I do want to get on, man, because you know I got to be negative before I get up out of here. Everybody keeps saying, yo, what team should KD, the KD and Giannis thing is more of a thing that's coming up this offseason. People gotta be aware of how difficult it is to build a team around Giannis. That's number one, because first off, you need shooters at all the other 4 positions. That's number one. That's one of the big parts. And the thing is, when I look at San Antonio, I think you're halfway there because Wemby wants to chuck up 9 to 10 threes a game. That's just me personally.
I hate that, man.
And yeah. I know you hate it. I know you hate it, but at the same time, this is where the game is going. We're gonna see more teams like Indiana and Boston. We seen it last year. They had 5 dudes that could shoot it from way downtown and go get their own bucket. Indiana has that in this series. The problem is they playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's the goddamn problem. Now, in terms of KD, where you at? Chilltown. You live in Florida now, right? Yeah, that's where he should go, to Florida. You know what he should go to Florida to do? Retire. Take your bitch ass home. I don't want to see you no more. Why are you sucking up the air in the room? Yo, Chilltown, is it me or it just seems like your homie LeBrownies, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, they like the dudes that graduated college 4 years ago and still hanging out on campus. Get the hell off my school.
What y'all still doing?
Why are you sucking up the air in the room? Just go home. Go home. We're done with you, bro. You an alumni. You don't even put in no bread here. You don't send no money. You don't fund no money to the front office. You don't fund no money to the organization. You're not leaving the game in a better place. Why?
But they are. I mean, they are leaving the game because without KD,
bullshit.
No, without KD, we don't have Paul George. We don't have Brandon Ingram. We don't have Brandon Miller. We don't have guys like that without KD. And Curry, we don't have guys like Trey Young. Like, we don't have guys like that. I mean, they're very much inspirations. However, to your point, Leaf, I mean, there does come a time when it's coming up on that time, guys. Like, what you still doing here? Like, what? Like, why is it? I remember Kobe Bryant. He said that he said that they was playing Sacramento when he looked up in the rafters and he saw Chris Webber and Divoc's jersey. He like, what the hell am I still doing here?
Why are you still here?
What am I still doing?
The dudes that you ran through, they are going, LeBron, Carmelo Anthony is going into the Hall of Fame this year. Why are you still here? D-Wade is a Hall of Famer. Bosh is a Hall of Famer. These are the dudes that you got drafted with. Why are you still here? I tell you why you're still here. Because you like to control. You like to be in control of shit. You like people kissing your ass and telling you, hey, LeBron, it's all right, man. You want to bring Bronny in school? Hey, Bronny, you can start school.
I do. I think
it better be his last year, bro. And I personally believe if he goes on a damn farewell tour, I'll let that he get booed in every damn city just for wasting our damn time.
I'm good.
Suck ass.
I know you out, Leave. All right, brother.
Get out.
What up?
What up, Chair? How you doing?
What's up, brother? How you doing, my man?
Good, man. I think it's just like you said, it has been a good series. I think for sure now we can say that the big three era is definitely officially over. I'm not saying
is it though, BD? Because I keep hearing people tell me that Giannis is getting traded to here and this guy KD is getting. I think it's over. I think the days of the bomb squads getting made generically, that's over.
Nah, I think it's over too. And with the whole new salary cap, and I got a follow-up question in regards to that. I think with just how the whole setup is, I think I really love this type of basketball. Young players, playing great basketball. And another thing too, it holds front offices accountable on drafting. One unpopular opinion I have is I really feel like the foundation that the New Orleans Pelicans built a few years ago with Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Zion, Herb Jones, they could have been in that same. Yeah,
they was on to something.
I thought they were on to something too, just like how Houston's doing it right now. Young players, playing great with each other. Good coach. I like Willie Green. I think he's gotten a bad share over the past year with all their injuries, but. Yeah, salute to the Pacers and to the Oklahoma City Thunder, especially to their front office. I think that's now one question I have for you, Chill. Man, I think Oklahoma City's in a great position over the next few years, but there's one kryptonite, if you ask me. They're an all-time great defense, superstar point guard. It's cap, not the salary cap. And I believe SGA is going to be eligible for a 5-year, $380 million contract.
$76 million a season.
Now, let me ask you, Chill. You are in SGA's shoes. You want to prove something. Jaylen Brown was highest paid, then Tatum. Now it's you. But at the same time, I got this young talent around me. Caruso's making about $9 million this year, but remember he got an extension last year, so he's going to bump up to 20-some mil. Chet's gonna get paid. What do you do, Chill? You gonna take that 380 and get that label, or are you gonna take a pay cut like Brunson did in a way and try to build something special?
It depends on what we are trying to do. Because don't forget, J-Dub is up after next season too.
Yep.
And he made the All-Pro team and he made the All-Defensive team too. So he's up for a substantial raise. Yeah. Now the question is do I take? Instead of going to 350, do I go to 300 and leave some money on the table for the rest of these guys? Or do I take all the bread? Because it's going to cripple them. I can tell you that right now. These guys are not going to. If SGA signs that Supermax extension, and then J-Dub is up next year, and he's eligible for a Supermax extension, that's going to cripple them.
Yeah, that's their kryptonite right there.
It's going to cripple them 100%. It is. They're not going to be able to sustain that. So
exactly.
If I'm SGA, I'm gonna be honest with you, BD. I gotta get what I can get while I can get it.
Ooh.
I do. I gotta get while I can get. I gotta get. In the words of my man Biggie Smalls, ain't no guarantee that they're gonna love you. So you gotta get what you can get when you can get it.
No, not building a dynasty. That's not something you buy into. Because remember, this is
I don't think it's going on in this era. I don't, because of the CBA. I don't think it's gonna happen in this era. I don't.
It's the same ownership too that, remember, they let Harden go not for $4 million a year, but for $4 million when they were trying to bring back Ibaka and James, and then they offered James Harden that contract extension, but they were $4 million apart, and that's what caused them, because I think they would have been over the luxury tax if they did re-sign him to what he was asking for.
They ended up saving $30 million letting James Harden go. Now
it's a
remember,
small market.
exactly, Oklahoma City at that point, I don't know if you heard me say this, but Oklahoma City at that point, they were the 41st market in the country. Like $30 million is a lot of money in 2012. It might not be that much today, but in 2012, that was a lot of dough to save. A lot.
100%.
So, I mean,
I know
I can't say with 100% certainty that I'm turning that money down, because I'm thinking to myself, like what Jordan was making, but these guys were making the going rate. It wasn't like Jordan was taking pay cuts. He wasn't. He was making the going rate of what guys was getting. It wasn't until he came back to basketball that he was like, yo, I'm really going to get paid. It wasn't like he was getting pennies. No, the dough he was making the same dough as Drex and guys like that. Yes, he was making the going rate. It wasn't like all of a sudden Jordan is just, he getting pennies on a dollar. No, he's not. That wasn't going on. So
yeah.
All right, BD.
Appreciate it, Chill. I know where to find you.
No
yes,
doubt.
Sir.
So yeah, man. I feel like we're in a space with this Oklahoma City team, and just not this, and not this Oklahoma City team, but just in the NBA with this new CBA. This new CBA is going to throw a monkey wrench in a lot of teams being able to stay together. They just aren't going to be able to do that, unfortunately. So, speaking of staying, it's about that time for me, guys. I got to bounce. It was good to see you guys tonight. You know where to find me. If I'm not here, I'm on TikTok every morning, 9 a.m. Good Morning NBA. If I'm not there, you can find me on the Players Choice Network right here on YouTube, 11 to 2 on the panel. If I'm not there, you can find me weeknights right here on the Chilltown Hoops Network. Me and my man Tony Tone, we do it on Tuesday night on the Sports Fluent Network and the Chilltown Hoops Network. And if I'm not here, you can find me and my man Big Ox. We do it on Thursday and Saturday, 4 o'clock on Thursday, 12 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. So I am not hard to find, guys. I will see you soon. Until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. When's the last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. I will talk to you guys soon. But until then, take it light. But take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys tonight. This was dope.